Are you going to? Okay, so we're recording, by the way. I mean, I'm going to cut this part, but.
Okay, yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, let's do this.
Woo!
Hey,
Yeah,
podcast
live from
number
Burbank.
1.
Oh
Woo!
my God, here we are. Tanya.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
What's up? I'm good.
Happy Friday.
I know. We were supposed to be doing this yesterday.
Yes.
And then we were supposed to do this an hour ago. And then it started raining. And my telescope was uncovered about a half hour away. So
Right. Yeah.
I just totally bailed out.
Yes, you had to, but you made it just in time.
Okay. Yes. So I'm going to introduce you. Tanya Canelli.
Hello.
Right? Some people say Kennelly, but it's Canelli.
It's Canelli. Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you. This is Brian Valente.
This is me. Yes, that's me. I involve in technical things here and wondering what that was. It's a big bang. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Probably Scott working on some mount or something like that.
Yeah. He's fine tuning. That's called fine tuning.
So this is our first podcast. What do you think people are going to expect in watching this podcast?
Just to get to know us a little bit. I think people will also want some Losmandy mount information also.
Like actual meaningful content?
Right, yeah, but some fun content also. So
we're kind of bullshitters, so we're just probably gonna go at it.
Yeah, we do that well.
Okay, that's good. I mean, we got kind of a rough script here of things, right?
We do, yeah. So I think we're gonna start off with a couple of things and then go into like what's new.
We got some things. We're gonna answer a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some other stuff.
Okay.
And I think so before we get started though, you had talked about getting ready for this show.
Yes.
And you had talked about essentially stabbing your face multiple times. So
Glad to bring that up. Yay.
So, but I mean that's the terminology used. I'm going to stab myself in the face repeatedly.
Yes. And so the podcast definitely has to be scheduled around it, or else my face is it's pretty ripped up.
And what is it? Is it some sort of like a facial treatment or?
It's called microneedling, and it's basically a esthetician will do it, and I think it's about 25 needles at the end of a ball, and she just repeatedly goes over my face, my skin of my face.
But I mean, it's an actual. I mean, the needles penetrate your skin and cause you to bleed.
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is not the funnest at all, but it does help. It brings up the collagen. It makes collagen active in your face again, basically, as you're getting older.
Because that's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when you work out. You know, when you go to work out, you're ripping your muscles, and that's what builds them. It's kind of the same thing. That's how I justify it.
All right, then. So moving right along. So one of the things that I do a lot of is astrophotography. In fact, I was a Losmandy customer for probably 12 years before I came on board.
Right, yeah.
And
I know that you have the Losmandy mounts. You have a couple of Losmandy mounts in your house, but you also have an observatory down in Chile, correct?
Right, that's true.
Wow.
So I have two mounts that are pretty much full-time in the driveway at home in Los Angeles. There's some imaging there, and I, of course, was imaging for many, many years there. But now I do a lot of testing. You know, if customer mounts come in, we set them up and, make sure that they operate correctly and then test new features, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But you're right. I do have with a friend of mine, we set up an observatory in the Atacama Desert in Chile. It's a place called Obstec.
Okay.
Is the hosting
I think
partner.
we met them at the AIC conference up in San Jose.
Yeah, they were there.
That's
they were
right.
actually,
Okay.
I think they were trying to generate some business.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember. That's a great conference. If anybody out there wants to go to an imaging conference, it's Advanced Imaging Conference. I know the last year or
AIC.
two.
AIC is fantastic. It's fantastic. If you're an imager and you just sort of want to have a day, or I think it's 2 days, right? Maybe even 3.
I think it's 3. Yeah, 2.5. 2.5 days.
Yeah, and the half day is all of the seminar type of stuff because we go as vendors, right?
Right, yep.
And so we're sort of there for just 2 days.
Yes.
But it's an unbelievable conference for learning things, and then they have everything online afterwards that you can, they record everything. And make it
Like
available.
a library.
Yeah,
for,
exactly.
Say, okay,
library.
yeah. They think it's a limited amount of people that are able to go. So it's really when it opens up, you definitely want to get on board and go to it if you're interested in advanced imaging. They always have incredible speakers. So.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the who's who of imaging.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's happening this year, but I hope they'll have it. I mean it's a very, very strong conference. All the people who have presented in the past and continue to add value are going to be there next time, whenever that is.
Oh yeah, I think
over.
Probably, hopefully soon. Get through all this stuff, right? So that's how you met the people for the observatory to put down and.
So I have a telescope down there. It's a 17-inch.
Okay.
It's a plane wave, and I think I'm going to show one of my most recent images.
Yes, please.
Which you can see over here. So this is a narrow band image of, and of course it's a very famous target, the Cone Nebula, or also known as the Christmas Tree Nebula. This is in.
I get it.
Well, yeah, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. You can see that. But it's in a combination of hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, and sulfur wavelengths. And then you sort of combine them in the kind of, this is a classical Hubble palette. It looks a little different than kind of what I'm used to, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm entirely finished, editing this thing. But
how long does it take you to get how long does it take to get something like this? How many hours?
Right. So for an image like this, I think it probably took on the order of maybe 40 hours.
Is that of just collecting data and processing, or just collecting data and then processing after?
Yeah, that's just collecting data.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could probably get an image kind of like this in fewer hours, but I mean, the skies are so pristine there. I think the seeing is rated sometimes down to like half an arc second or even less.
Oh, wow.
It's bananas.
And here it's like 2 to 3 usually, right? That just in comparison.
If
is
we're
that
lucky.
a good night? Yeah,
if we're lucky.
But, okay, got it. Okay.
So not only is the sky is incredible, but the amount of light that's available is astonishing. It's this place is up on, I think, about 1,300 meters above sea level. And if you ever see some pictures, we've got to get some pictures. Maybe we'll go online later and look at it.
What was it? What was the place called again? Just one more time.
It's called OBSTech. OBSTech is the name of the company.
Okay.
OBSTECH.
Okay.
And I think it's called the Alsace Observatory.
Okay.
Now I'm not quite sure. I think Alsace might be located there, co-located with OBSTech. Maybe OBSTech is hosting Alsace, but it's the Alsace Observatory, and the hosting partner that we work with is a company called OBSTech.
Okay,
you can
great.
find them online.
Okay.
Kind of thing. So anyway, yes, it's quite an endeavor. But one of the things that you can see, and we're actually looking on the TV here, is there's virtually no noise in this, which is pretty remarkable for an image like that.
Yeah,
so,
that is beautiful.
At any rate, so there we go. That's the latest one. I'll probably maybe show a new one every month or so.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love it.
Yeah, it takes quite a while. We were going to do sort of a Scott's Gizmos segment, which we're not going to do today.
Right. We will the next time. But what is Scott's Gizmos about, Brian?
Well, no, I was going to ask you because you've been
Okay.
here for much longer, right? But I mean, we live in this sort of museum, right? So,
Correct. Yes. So Scott, we're going to do probably a video included into our podcast, just having Scott showing off one of his antiques, one of his collectibles that he's got, acquired over the years that he's been doing this, because he's quite the antique collectible collector. Mainly in music and mechanical things. Go figure, right?
But also some video stuff too, right? I mean, he's got like
music
this
video
gizmo right here.
Right. That's like, it's a video. It's like it's film. So film, music, and mechanical things. I would have to say, yeah, those are some of the main things that he's interested in when he's collecting.
And how many separate devices in the shop do you think there are?
Oh, I mean, just in my office alone, I have probably 10 antiques. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I've got a really cool jukebox that I love.
So cool. I mean, and it's beautiful too.
Yeah, it's awesome. It kind of reminds me of the Jetsons.
Right.
And then Scott did personally, he bought me one that I wanted in particular. I wanted a chandelier. So he got me a chandelier from the 40s, which was really nice. I thought I deserved a chandelier in my office. Why not, right?
I don't know what to tell you.
So we will be doing that.
So we're not having him now, but because we ran out of time, basically. It's because I had to do the rain and the cover on the telescope, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I did make it. Just as I pulled the cover on, the Telegizmos cover. By the way, Telegizmos, love Telegizmos.
Great covers, 365s, right? And they also have solar, right? And they have like ties at the bottom. They fit them out. They know the area of a lot of the mounts out in the industry, so they make it to where it can fit really. Because when you buy a Telegizmo cover, do you buy it for a Losmandy mount? Don't they have it as that way?
Well, I don't think it's specific to the mount. It seems to be more specific to the kind of like telescope. We should have him on. He's a Losmandy customer.
Yes, he just picked up, Bob Pitney just picked up a Losmandy mount.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. Bob, we got to have you on the show because we're sitting here talking about Telegizmos.
That's a great idea.
We're not qualified to do that.
Yeah, let's have him on. He's a great guy.
But the thing is, the answer is yes. It's a 365 cover. I have both of these telescopes outside 365 days a year, 24/7. And they're out there all the time.
That's pretty great. That's awesome. And protected. So I know you don't want to ruin your little fun toys. So that's good that you trust those things.
Telescopes aren't fun toys. Just want to be clear about that.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
Damn right. I'm sorry.
I just hurt somebody.
Oh my God. I think you just
I may have hurt a lot of people. I'm sorry.
Listening audience here. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about this year is our 40th anniversary, right?
Yes. 40 years. And we are making up a t-shirt that Brian designed. It took some time. It was like, what are we going to do? We're going to do this. And then he came up, he found something online.
And by Brian, when you're talking in the third person, you're talking about me.
I'm talking about you. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Help me here, people. You found something online, and it's a great story. Really is. And so the design is on the 40th year anniversary. And when we show it to everybody, I think you're going to do a little write-up on the design. And
I think I am. Did you want to give them a preview of it now?
Yeah.
We can show it to them.
Okay. I didn't realize.
Got it loaded
yes,
here. So
please.
hang
Let's
on.
see the.
So there it is.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it's 40 years, 1981 to 2021. Of course, that's this year. And I can't for the life of me I can't remember what the name of this is. A schematic of a.
It's a very long name. Number one.
Like it's an Archimedes Hippocacaba.
Right. It's from the Greece. It's from the Greek times. Well,
yeah, it goes all the way back to the Greeks.
BC.
Absolutely
BC. Right. And they found this on a ship. Or I think they may have found a few of them. Am I correct?
I think they found a bunch of them, but there was, I guess, the best preserved one came from a ship where they actually had all of the mechanisms in place. Because this thing, although this is a drawing, it's a drawing of an actual like a clock type of mechanism, right?
Right. And I thought it was still up. But basically, can you describe what that was for? What that mechanism is for?
You know what? We're making asses out of ourselves here. So we should have remembered to write this down, but it's in Wikipedia. We'll put it in the description for this. But it essentially is a mechanical device like a clock, but it is for calculating celestial
objects.
Time or object positions.
Right.
Now into the past and into the future. And it's astonishing because you and I would look at this and we would think, well, I don't know about you, but I would look at it and think like, okay, that probably was a Renaissance type of thing,
Okay.
hundreds of years old. And it turns out they had this technology literally thousands of years ago.
Oh, right.
It's bananas, right?
Yeah, I think it's dated BC, so it's old.
Yeah, it's definitely old. So we'll look at, well, there it is again.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it. So we are going to have it be a shirt, right?
Yes, I love it.
So I think we also have an example of that. We're going to show this here, right? That's what it's going to kind of look like.
There we go.
And we're going to start making these available.
Probably within a couple weeks, I would say.
Yeah, a couple
we're starting.
weeks.
Yeah, we're starting print. Like we're getting all the artwork and stuff done right now. So
Getting all
I
the
would say,
artwork
yeah.
and stuff done.
Well, you know what? I was going to ask you this. The T-shirt design. You said something about time,
Yeah.
right?
Like we're behind time on it.
Yeah, we are behind time on it. That's for sure. But speaking of time, we've got the time change coming up on Sunday.
We do. We are. So it's spring forward, fall back. So
Right.
we're going to spring forward. So we're going to lose an hour.
Lose an hour, but the days become longer. Well, actually,
Well,
no.
daylight
it doesn't.
becomes longer.
Right. Okay. That just happens, but we just move it to where we can wake up. Like it's not, early when it's light. So I think why do we do this? I know this time change seriously sends Scott over the edge. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't mind it at all, but it sends Scott right over the edge. It just throws him off. Does it throw you off at all?
You mean in terms of the fact that I lose an hour?
Just that, and I don't know. He really gets thrown off by it, like his sleep patterns. Does it affect you that much?
I don't think it affects me. I mean, part of it is because although I do, most of my astronomy is automated, which means that I only have to goof around with it mostly, not completely.
Okay, right.
But
right.
I'm kind of a night owl, right? So I don't really spend a lot of time. I kind of work late and then I end up waking up late. So early morning doesn't really impact me too much.
Okay.
What about you?
It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't affect me one bit. Nothing changes
Do you
in my
wake
world.
up to an alarm clock?
Yes. But I do, if I do have during the week, I do open my shades because the sunlight does help me wake up.
Got it.
Right.
Of course. Right.
So with that time change coming up, don't we have to do something in the Gemini?
Well, yes. So that's a good point. So in the Losmandy Gemini, and this is kind of, I think it's true of other astronomical computers, right? Because the Gemini is an astronomical computer. You have information about where you're at, the location. You have information about the time, and then you have information about the time zone.
Right.
And the time and the place, of course, don't really change that much, but the time zone changes because that's really where the daylight savings comes in, right?
Okay. So you do need to account for that?
Right. So you do need to account for that.
Okay.
Yes. So when there is when we're going to hit, I guess, is it Sunday? Is that right?
It's Sunday. Yep.
Okay.
Sunday 12. I think they do it. No, 2 a.m.
Okay.
I think that's.
I don't know.
My iPhone does it.
Honestly, I just found out about this, so I wasn't even thinking about it. So yes, you just need to change the time zone setting.
Okay.
On your Gemini, we're on West Coast, so right now it's -8.
Okay.
And you're going to need to change it to -7.
Okay.
And that's all you need to do.
All right.
Now, some folks, they use universal time. They put it in there and just put the time zone at 0, and that's okay. That's a different way to do it, in which case they don't have to adjust the time zone at all. But most of us who use it kind of correctly, you want the local time and you want to change your time zone.
All right. So everybody out there, don't forget on Sunday, change your time or it's going to be off
by an hour.
Was that 5 degrees or something?
It's going to be 15. Yeah.
15 degrees. Okay, that's what I thought it was. It was 15 degrees. Okay. I should know that. So.
Okay. But at any rate, so there's going to be a time zone change, and then.
I wanted to. I know we were talking about the T-shirt design and everything like that. That's what I was thinking about the time, but also we had a newsletter run last month, and we had a couple of winners that are going to get the 40th year anniversary T-shirt.
They are? That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we had a Heart Nebula contest on the newsletter. So we got a bunch of submissions, and 2 people won. Are we gonna?
I
Do we have? We don't have it
Just
up.
keep talking, and I'm
Okay.
going to see if I can bring it up.
We had 2 people win. We had to pull the names out of a hat, and one of them was George Shoup. I hope I'm saying that name correctly, George. He sent in his Heart Nebula, which was amazing. And we also had Anthony Kiefer. Is that correct? Anthony.
Hang on,
Okay.
I almost got it up. Okay, here we go. So let's see.
Okay.
Can I get this? So I don't want to sort of show all my. Let's see. Is this going to work? Here we go. So this was our last newsletter, right? So,
Okay.
And by the way, we can sign up for our newsletter, right?
Yes, please do. If you go to store.losmandy.com, on the left-hand side it says subscribe to our mailing list. Go on there, enter your email address, and you'll start getting our newsletter. They're a lot of fun.
Right, and we do them once a month,
Yes.
and it's really designed to be informational and sort of let you know about any specials we may have. We're going to talk about a couple of things coming up here.
Yeah, and we do our video of the month, which I want to talk about.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's not sucky like sales dumb stuff.
No. It's a very fun. All of us have our input into it. The whole Losmandy team, Scott, me, Brian, all of us put our input into it, and we have a lot of fun with it. It's really nice. It's a great read. You'll enjoy it.
Why do you keep talking about me in the third person like I'm
I
not
don't know,
here?
Brian. I talk about myself in the third person.
Okay. So anyway, let's go back. So here are the winners.
Okay.
These were we got tons and tons of entries, so we had to select 2 winners at random.
Right.
So this one is Tony's
Yes.
of
this
the
is
Heart
Tony's.
Nebula, IC 1805, at the Kiefer Observatory. And Tony, I hope we're saying that right. It's a 4-panel mosaic. So this thing must be absolutely monstrous.
Wow.
Sort of.
That's beautiful. That's so pretty.
And then here is George's entry, which, and again, I'm not really sure why it's so small, but at any rate, it came in, and it's another beautiful rendition there. It really kind of highlights the kind of the outer rings of them rather than the, kind of what Tony had here, which is a little bit more of all of the dust,
Right.
and the things that are going on there. So that's pretty cool.
Very nice. Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for submitting your pictures. It was a lot of fun. And I think moving forward, anybody, every time that we do, we get a lot of people that send us images.
Yeah, we do.
And
it's
which
great.
is very nice. Thank you, everybody. We really enjoy them. And we usually post one of the newsletter every single month. And so if we do use your image in one of our newsletters, we're going to send you a T-shirt, one of the 40th year anniversary ones.
Right, so that's a new thing, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you kind of
just
skip
starting
by
it.
that, but so send us your images. The image that we pick for that month, they're going to get a free T-shirt.
Yeah, because we had so much fun with the contest that we just we thought we'd start doing that. So.
And how do people? So if they want to send an image, how do they do that?
Send it to, I want to say, send it to Tanya K, TANYAK at losmandy.com. And I will share them with all of
Right, and that's your email
That's
address, right?
Yeah, my email address for work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fabulous. So it's not Tracy.
Not Tracy. It's not Tammy. Tanya.
You're good natured about it, but you get a lot of names for people calling in.
I know. It's Tanya isn't like, it's not an unusual name. It's just not as common as like Brian in the third person.
So I'm common now.
No, not you in particularly. Brian, you are one of a kind. He's one of a kind, please.
This podcast is not going exactly how I anticipated.
What?
I'm getting worked over here. This is ridiculous.
Aww.
I'll survive. Don't worry.
I have to do it on the podcast because I get it all day in the shop with the two of you, you and Scott. So this is your turn. All right.
Okay. All right. So, but send images in, astronomical images, by the way. I mean, we appreciate, the family. We actually do get Christmas cards. And things,
yeah, we do get Christmas
by the
cards.
way,
Yeah,
so.
we get gifts.
And we do. Where's the gift? Where's the thing we were going to show? I think, isn't it right over there?
Let me.
Is it on the floor there? No.
Oh, it's actually on the shelf right here. Hold on.
Okay. So, do you know who this is from? Are we gonna blow it?
Yeah, no.
Let's see it.
I know who it's from. Okay.
It's on the camera.
It's a cutting board. Well, I wouldn't use it as a cutting board. I would use it more of a cutler.
Like a cheese plate kind of thing?
Cheese plate,
Charcuterie?
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. That's what I would use it as. But Greg Moody, who is he's waiting for his mount patiently. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. There we go. Okay. So he made this for me, which was very, very, very nice.
I mean, it's astonishingly, it's all wood.
Yes, and it's heavy. So there we go. Okay, I'm gonna.
You got that okay?
There we go.
Got that okay.
It's heavy. It's a walnut, bamboo. I think it's blood. It's some type of blood, maybe blood walnut, oak.
Blood walnut.
I think it's something like that. It's some type of blood wood. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Blood oak, maybe. I'm not a wood shop person, but I can appreciate beautiful artwork of this nature. So.
I mean, it's astonishing because none of these colors are because of the different woods, not because they were stained that way. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. I mean, it's just
he puts an oil on it. He puts an oil on it to protect it.
Right.
But not a stain. No. Yeah. It's just
right.
natural.
So if we see red, it's a different wood, and if we see
the darker browns
are a different wood, and I assume the lighter might be a bamboo or something. I don't know.
This is bamboo right here.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, it's just.
And these are all like little tiny pieces. This is not just like painted like on. It's like this is an individual piece. So
if you want to,
thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you very much. And if you want to promote if you want to send us stuff, we'll put it on our podcast.
Yeah, we're not gonna, definitely.
We're not going to say no to that kind of stuff. So
right, yeah. So sending in the images. You were just talking about. I was gonna tell you that I get a lot of questions sent in from customers, and I was maybe we can go over some of those here on the podcast. Do you want to do something like that?
I do want to do that, but I want to show really briefly. Okay. So here's our website, and just so this is store.losmandy.com, but you can see here the mailing list, right? So I don't think you're even in the thing. So losmandy.com.
So I am subscribed,
subscribe.
But yeah, and then subscribe, and then
oh, that's so awesome. Why? Well,
I don't know.
Internet.
Always.
Internet. There you go. So
that's where you subscribe.
So awesome. Okay, so you want to talk about some questions we got, which is kind of like the purpose of the podcast, right? I mean, we're not going to sit here and just chew the fat. We want to talk astronomical stuff. So you've got some questions from customers,
yes,
right?
I have some customer questions. Oh, I thought this was a very, very good one. No, this actually, I think this makes a lot of sense. Okay, so when you go out into the field, I don't do this, but this is just by being experienced by working in this industry for 15 years.
You get a lot of questions about people people are calling and asking us about this.
And I thought this was a really good one. When you're out in the field, a lot of times you don't have cellular access, correct? So you can't like look up our YouTube videos. And our YouTube videos that we have,
right?
Some of them are instructional. Most of them are, right?
Well, I would hope all of them are instructional. What are you saying?
Well, some of them are like boxing. Like you get a box. The unboxing of the.
Unboxing is educational.
Okay, all right.
Man, I spent hours on these things.
Hours. I know, and I don't know if I tell you enough. People really love the videos. I mean, they watch them. I mean, ever since you've started doing the videos, we've gotten, I think, over 1,000 more subscribers. So, good job. Thank you.
Well, I wasn't looking for a
I know, but no, they are very instructional. So when you're out in the field, though, you can't get to YouTube if you're trying to set your limits. That was one of our last videos, okay? And let's say you forget how to do that and you're out in the field. Is there a way that you can download those YouTube videos onto your phone, or in some way, shape, or form so you can have videos, so you can get those videos, so you have access?
Right. So that's a great question. I'm not sure I know the answer. Well, I should say I don't think there's any one answer because so first of all, we do have a YouTube channel, which has existed in sort of a kind of a various states for a number of years, right?
Right.
I mean, you guys have done videos before. Right?
Oh yeah, Scott was doing them Scott's been doing it for a while.
And those videos were kind of like Tanya grabs the iPad or something like that and just kind of has at it.
Right, right.
So now, because I have a background in video production, hopefully they look a little bit better. But we made a concerted effort to make a series for if you have a brand new mount, kind of starting as you described from just getting the box, right? And that one stars you, right? That goes all the way through. It's about 7 parts now, and it's going to walk you through every piece of information you need to set up and get your Losmandy mount up and running.
Okay.
Right. And we're continuing to add to that. And I think we're up to a setting limit. So pretty much, we're to the point where everything you need to do to actually get it working and start imaging, things like that has been done.
Right, right.
So as YouTube videos, I know as a premium YouTube subscriber, I can download them.
Oh, okay. As a premium, okay. So you might need to subscribe as a premium. How much is the membership like that?
Well, no. I mean, I'm not saying that people need to do that. I'm just saying I know because I wanted it's like $13 a month, which seems like a ridiculous amount of money. And it kind of is. But I watch YouTube so much that to me it was worth the money to skip all the ads.
Right, right.
In addition to being able to download. So, people talk, and especially in astronomy, astrophotography and so forth, they talk about learning things from YouTube U, right? YouTube University, which essentially is just go to YouTube and someone's probably done what you're trying to figure out.
Right.
And, you can go and learn about it.
I fixed my garbage disposal off a YouTube video.
Did you really?
I really did. So I'm a true believer in YouTube videos. Like well, you and I trying to set up a light for the studio here. Yeah, broke it. It was awesome. No, I mean, we did not break the whole thing. We broke a pole, but it literally was taking us about an hour to set up this light by reading the instructions.
And you were like ready to kill me too.
I was done. I was over this. Okay. So then Brian's like, okay, before Tanya kills me, I'm going to go YouTube this. So he goes and YouTube
You.
Yeah, YouTube. And literally within 5 minutes, we had it up. So I am a true believer in the YouTube videos.
Right. So
That's why I love you doing these.
So we want to, make our Losmandy contribution to that. But if you're premium, you can download these, right?
Okay.
I have to check, and we'll probably talk about this in the next podcast, but I'm wondering if we can actually set them up so you can download them. I just don't know the permission type of thing.
Got it. Okay.
But if not, what we can do is just, because we did these videos ourselves, we can upload them to our servers and have it available for people to download. And then they could potentially just download them to their iPad or their computer.
Oh, okay. Got it. So, okay. So it's on there. It's saved pretty much.
Yeah, so they can take it with them.
Streaming.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in fact, you could even download it to the Gemini's SD card. So a lot of people don't necessarily know this, but there is a web server built into the Gemini. And on the web pages, there's actually a place where you can open up and look at Scott Losmandy's videos. It says Scott Losmandy's videos, I think.
Oh.
Or videos by Scott Losmandy.
Oh.
You didn't know
nice.
that?
I did not know that. That's really cool.
But I think those have not been updated in a while, that particular link. But there's room on the SD card for more of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you maybe just wanted a place to put them sort of permanently, you could potentially download them to your SD card. You're going to need the room, but I think our Gemini ships with the multi-gigabyte card now, and there's plenty of room for that.
Okay. I'm not 100% sure on that, but
yeah, I want to say it's at least 2 gigs. I think it might be like 4 or 8. I don't want to say exactly because someone's going to say no, mine's only 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. But that's a good question for next time. We'll try to figure out how to make that available, right?
Yeah, I thought that was really great. So, I think You were saying that Scott brought up a question about polar alignment.
Well, Scott was talking to some folks. So his question was, I got to look at it here.
How important is polar alignment for visual and then for imaging?
Yeah, so sort of the question I think we got was how, so, and it kind of related to visual, but just generally speaking, how important is good, like how good does the polar alignment have to be?
Okay.
Right? And the answer, well, you always want the best polar alignment that you can, right? But sometimes that's not always possible. It's not always possible because maybe you don't have access to a computer. Maybe you don't even can see the north, the
right,
Polaris,
that's what I
the North
hear.
Star,
Right, yeah.
things like that. So
that's what I hear mainly.
So the answer kind of depends. Of course, everything around in this hobby depends.
Yes.
But for visual people, polar alignment is less critical because in a visual environment, when you're just sort of looking through your eyepiece, things like that, if something starts to drift or drifts out a little bit further along, you can just use your hand controller or whatever
right.
and just sort of move it around a little bit.
Right.
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 But in imaging, that's not really an option, right? You're taking
right.
pictures for
you get like trailing, right? Things like
yeah,
that.
I mean, you tens of minutes, 20 minutes, hours through the night, and you just can't really afford to have that kind
right.
of thing. So polar alignment then becomes much more important. But in both cases, there are, even if your polar alignment isn't exactly right, there are ways to counteract that. And one of the tools in the Gemini that we have is our pointing model builder, right? So we have sort of a built-in ability to do modeling for essentially pointing accuracy. And what pointing accuracy is that you have a Gemini and you have a little computer and you say, I want to go to, M1 or M34 or whatever it is.
Okay.
And then you hit the go to, and then based upon what Gemini thinks is out there in the world, it sort of slews to the part of the sky where it thinks it is.
Okay.
Well, of course, if your polar alignment is off considerably, not only is it going to not quite get to the point where it is, but it's going to sort of very quickly sort of move away from where it is, because of course it needs to be your mount. If it's not aligned to the pole, things will start to drift out of view.
Right. Okay.
So we have the ability to do a pointing model where you would do a go-to a certain target, and usually we use stars. There's a bright star list built into this.
Okay.
And the idea of the bright star list is that you can, once you do a go-to, it's very easy to locate a bright star because it's much brighter than everything else around it.
Right.
And then you kind of center it up in your eyepiece or whatever it is. And then when you hit the alignment, you're essentially telling the Gemini, hey, listen, wherever you thought that star was, it's over here now. And it will build up a list of bright stars. You do this repeatedly.
Okay.
But here's the interesting thing.
Now, how many of those stars do you want to do?
Right. So here's the interesting thing about that. Even with one star, and you have reasonably good polar alignment, that actually can greatly impact the accuracy of your go-tos. I mean, it could actually, with a one-star alignment, it can be a much better model, right? Much better, we call it better pointing accuracy. So when you say go-to and you type in a target or something, it will be within your field of view or be on your chip or so forth.
Okay.
But in the case of polar alignment, you need to do 3 stars, at least one on the opposite side of Pier. And then at that point, it knows what the polar alignment correction needs to be. It adds this additional term. It's called a term, right? So it adds an additional modeling term. And it can actually offset the pointing accuracy for the polar misalignment.
Okay.
So generally speaking, you want great polar alignment whenever possible. It's always worth it, and especially when you're doing imaging. And I think we're gonna cover this in one of the videos coming up.
Okay.
In some detail, but great polar alignment. But if it's not possible, you can do some pointing accuracy stuff, model building and so forth to get your pointing accuracy up. And like I said, with at least three alignments at least one on the opposite side of Pier,
okay,
you can account for that polar misalignment.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of that goes over my head because, I don't go out in the field or anything like that. So I'm sure a video would be very very useful to a lot of the newcomers and everything, and
Right.
newbies out there. So, how do you figure out like so we have this library of a series of YouTube videos that he's doing. It's 1, 2. Right now we're going to be on the 8th one. How do you figure out what that next video is going to be? Is it just the way that you're setting up your telescope and what the next step in something like that is, for observing, or how?
Yeah. So in other words, we have this sort of it's really designed to be a kind of a guide all the
Okay.
way from when you receive your boxes to when you're up and running and totally functional, right?
Got it. Okay, so it's kind of just step by step.
Yeah. So the order in which these videos are really designed to sort of go down that path. So we talk about what's in the boxes. For example, you've mentioned on a number of occasions people don't know, or they're not aware that the motors are beneath some piece of the.
Right. Yeah. They're like,
box,
the
right.
motors aren't included. And I'm like, did you lift the foam out of the box? So yes, that video. And a lot of people do watch that video. I didn't think they would watch it as much, but people say that they did watch it and something is missing, and they call and they say, well, it said it was in the video. And I was like, oh yeah. So they call and send it right out.
It's
So
helpful to
Yeah.
know what's in the box. Right? We
Definitely.
don't want people to feel like if they didn't get it, that they're not deserving of it.
Right. Yeah. Because we'll get it out to you right away. That's for sure.
Right. So I think so what we did, we sort of started with receiving the boxes,
Okay.
and then we went to kind of the basic physical setups, the setting
I
up
think
of them.
attaching your motors.
Attaching your motors was a very important one because
Very.
there's some tricks to do that, especially on the
811.
GM811.
Yes.
So, but it's helped a lot of folks to
It
do
has.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
And now we're to the point where I think probably we just finished setting up limits, which are
Right.
very important, so it avoids your telescope crashing into your tripod or something like that.
It seemed to me what came after that was the it seemed to be every question after that was Meridian Flip. What I don't even know if you want to go down that path right now, but maybe we could do that next time. But it seems like that's going to be a video that's going to be wanted soon. Do you think you might do that video? Do you think that's in
We're
the
going to
future?
have to do it.
Okay.
We're going to see, the thing about Meridian Flips is when they so first of all, let's talk about what is a Meridian Flip.
Right. Yes.
So although a German equatorial mount can actually track the sky sort of from horizon to horizon, practically speaking, you can't really do that because your telescope at some point is going to bang into the pier, right?
Right. Right. Okay.
So at some point you have to instruct, or something has to instruct the mount to essentially flip over so that the telescope goes to the opposite side.
Okay.
And then, of course, the counterweights are on the opposite side of where they were, so that it can continue tracking on the western sky all the way.
Right, okay.
Hopefully to as far as they want. But the problem with this, so most people kind of think that it happens automagically. Like, okay, well, the telescope knows at some point when I need to do a meridian flip, and it's just going to happen, right? Or that they have imaging software and they usually set up a meridian flip information in there. And it's kind of like imagine that you have two friends that are meeting up to hand something off.
Okay.
And I'm making this up right now, so I might totally choke on this, but
Okay. Well, while you think about that, so our current mount design has the capability of doing this full meridian flip, right?
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but
And I do it all the time, by the way. Every night I run it from basically from sky to sky.
okay. So with that being said, though, to set it up by Scott, Scott's leaving. To do the
Bye,
soft.
Scott.
Bye, Scott.
gets to
But
leave
to
early.
be able to do this is gonna. We'll keep the names under PG. So the mount mechanically has the full capacity to do this, but to be able to do the full meridian flip, you need to have the Gemini. You need to instruct the Gemini to do this, or your third-party software, or whatever, or is it all the above?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I guess it's sort of all the above, right? So there is both the mechanics of a meridian flip and the timing of the meridian flip.
Okay.
And what I was going to describe is kind of like the Gemini gets an instruction to essentially do a meridian flip. I mean, actually, it's kind of technically it's a go-to that kind of forces the Gemini to say, hey, in order for me to get that target, I need to go to the other side of the pier.
Okay. All right.
But the thing that does that, the thing that controls that is your imaging application. So we have Sequence Generator Pro, we have Maxim, we have ACP, we have Nina. There's a lot of programs that do this, and many, if not all, the ones that I mentioned support Meridian Flip. I mean, they recognize this is a very important thing that they need to be able to do.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Got it.
But the challenge is with Meridian Flips, people think that it kind of everything is coordinated. Like you just set it up in your imaging application, and then at the appointed time, something happens, and it automatically sort of does the thing. And it really should work that way.
Right. Okay.
It really should.
But I know that depends.
But in reality, it's really not that coordinated. So the example I was going to give is imagine that you have two friends are going to meet up to hand something off. They're going to hand something to somebody.
Okay.
One friend is going to give it to the other, and you would think like, okay, well they're just going to call and coordinate a time, and we're going to meet at noon, and that's going to be perfectly fine. Right?
Okay. Right.
But it doesn't really work that way at all. In this analogy, imagine that the two friends agree that they're going to meet around noon.
Okay. All right.
But they have no way to talk to each other. So one friend thinks to themselves like, okay, well, I'm going to be there at noon, and I'm going to be maybe there a little bit early, but I only have like a 3-minute window in which to see this second person.
And to hand it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, the other person is like, well, you know what? I can only really accept this from about, the best time for me is actually a little past noon, and I can be there for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you would think that these two would just sort of talk to each other and sort of figure like, what is your, like, what's your deal? Like,
but they don't have a phone. They don't have the communication.
Right. They don't have so essentially the thing that causes that to work is the operator, right? You have to know what the Gemini's limits are, because those sort of dictate to some extent what parts of the sky it can see. And then there's a thing in the Gemini called the Western limit, which determines kind of what's the range of available time that you can do a Meridian Flip in. And then you have to program your software, your imaging software, to essentially kind of line up with that. Okay. But you as the operator have to know what that is, and you have to set your limits properly.
Okay, so that's why everybody's talking about the Meridian Flip after the setting the limits. Yeah, because it kind of makes sense to go through that right after. Got it.
Yeah, so it makes sense in that you'd be like, okay, I understand why I need a Meridian Flip. So, and here's some bunch of controls on my Nina or sequence generators. I'm going to plug them in, and then nothing happens. And you're like, well, I mean, what happened? I mean, I told it what to do. I watched the time, and the time passed. And, well, there's a bit of coordination that needs to happen between the Gemini settings and your imaging application. Okay. Right? And that's the part in our setting of the limits, we start to do that, right? Because you need to make sure that the telescope can actually access both a single target on both sides of the meridian. Okay. Right? So both sides of the limit. So if you don't do that, let's say you have a really, really long telescope and it doesn't quite get to 90 degrees on either side, you're probably going to not be able to do a Meridian Flip most of the time, because it's simply that even if all that coordination happened, that when you say go do a Meridian Flip, Gemini is going to look at its limits and say, I can't reach that target. I just can't reach the target.
I mean, that's good though, because that protects your scope. So it doesn't, right? In a sense.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you definitely...
You don't want to have the scope mash your camera into the tripod because it's trying to do that. But so there's a combination of kind of Gemini settings. You want to set up your telescope correctly. You want to kind of maximize the amount of travel it has on both sides. Okay. And then once you do that, you can start to coordinate that with your imaging application. And I think that's a really important topic, and one we will cover in an upcoming one. But I mean, just if people understand kind of conceptually how it works, right, that is a really important next step, because then they sort of don't get frustrated and like, why does this not work? I'm typing these values into this one place, and it's like, you got to kind of coordinate all of them.
Okay. Right? No, that was a great analogy. I definitely understand. I understand it more now that you kind of explained it that way.
If it sounds confusing to you, then probably you understand it correctly.
It is. It does. I mean, I understand now how there's all these parties and how the one person, you as the astro imager, needs to communicate that to both the software and the Gemini system.
Right. It's like it's like everyone thinks that it's a party line, but in fact it's a game of telephone, right? So you have to sort of listen to one person and then talk to the other person.
Right. Yep.
You remember those party lines?
Oh yeah, the good old days.
I was kidding, actually.
No. Don't you remember? I remember, like, in first grade, you would do the whisper. You would whisper in one person's ear, and it would go all the way around the circle. And then by the time the 15th person that it got to, it was a totally different sentence. Did you ever play
Right, but
that?
that's the game is telephone. I'm talking about like 900 party line kind of stuff.
Oh. No, I don't know.
That is the correct answer, by the way.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so listen.
Something I do know.
Oh, what's that?
I think you get this question mostly. What's
Another
going on?
question?
Yeah, what's going on with the Titan mounts?
Well, I probably would ask you that.
Okay. Well,
because I mean, here's the thing, right? So we announced that we are no longer making the Titan mount.
we are no longer making the Titan mount.
But
Well,
does that mean that they're gone forever?
being produced here, I'm 95% sure that they will not be produced anymore you can buy a used one, but I think right now we are just focusing on the Losmandy modular system, the Losmandy mount modular system, which is the 811, the G11, and the G11T.
Okay, you know you're lying right now about the Titan.
I don't think we're ever, you never know, Scott. Who knows what that man...
I do, because I talked to him about this.
Oh, and he said never.
No. What he said.
See?
So here's the thing.
Okay.
Right? He didn't say never.
Right.
What he said, and this is something you said, right? So I don't want to say you're not really a liar. But right now we're building the number of G11s, GM811s, G8s even is just overwhelming.
It is, right, yeah.
And the Titan mount, which is our sort of heaviest capacity mount.
Correct.
Right. I mean, what do you remember what the capacity
100.
is?
It's 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
100 pounds. I've actually seen 140 on it. Yeah.
I mean, that's astonishing.
That is
right?
crazy.
So,
Yes.
not a lot of people have an instrument with that kind of weight requirement. Although we did just talk to a guy who had a 180 millimeter refractor, and it was 6 feet long.
Yes.
So, in addition to weight, there's also kind of an element of size,
Right.
capacity.
Definitely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the simple answer is there's not a lot of people buying that class of mount right now. So we're just focusing on the other ones to try to get caught up. And Scott has said he's absolutely willing to build more Titans. We just gotta...
We need to get caught up on what we have right now in the queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand for the portability and the lightweight tripod, at least from us. That seems to be an area that Losmandy does really well.
Yeah.
So, but the Titan mount is beautiful. Have you seen a Titan mount before?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I have the G11T, which
Right.
is the Titan...
It's a modified Titan.
It's a Titan class RA
Right.
axis with a G11 deck axis.
Correct.
And the weight capacity, I think, is
75. For
75
astro
for
imaging.
imaging.
Mm-hmm.
And
90 for
90 pounds
for visual.
that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a beast. You pick that thing up. It's a beast.
no,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
So, but yeah, we're trying to catch up. That's for sure. Trying
Indeed.
to get So
Okay, so what other topics do we have here? Was that pretty much everything we wanted to talk
I
about?
think so. Yeah, we talked about that. What are the new things? Oh,
Yeah, so somebody asked, and it's fair, kind of what are you guys working on that's new, right?
okay.
So we don't have anything to talk about right this second. Nothing that's brand new. I mean, we are working on some pretty cool stuff.
We are.
Super cool stuff.
We're listening to everybody out there. We always do. And we always like everybody's suggestions. Trust me, they're appreciated. We do listen.
And I wanted to work here primarily because I wanted to talk to Scott every day about what I want as an astro imager.
Oh, it's helped, I want to say.
I don't know if it's helped. He left early.
It's like, I'm out of here. He bailed while we were doing the podcast, so he knew he could slip out.
He waved. It's like, so long, goodbye.
Yeah, see ya.
But we are working on new stuff. Some really exciting stuff. Some short-term stuff. Some long-term stuff. I think more than we've ever been in recent history. And
with that being said, comes that question: is there going to be a new Gemini out there? Remember, I mean, people, when you say we've got new stuff coming, they're always wondering, oh my gosh, am I going to buy?
I can't talk about that right now.
Well, no, I'm just saying I want to let people know that the Gemini 2 mini version is here to stay. That is not going away. I don't want people thinking that if they buy a mount today, is that going to be outdated? And so when you're saying we're having new stuff coming out, I don't want people to think that if they buy them out today, they're getting outdated stuff. That's why I'm saying.
Okay, so
does that make sense?
Well, that's true, but I mean, I don't think that the Gemini 2 is unique in that regard, because Losmandy has a history of when we build new stuff and release it, that they by and large are either backwards compatible.
Yes.
Or you can buy an upgrade, or you can get your mount upgraded, which is very unusual. Right?
Yeah, a lot of times, the system's just dead, or the mount. Yeah, but
it's the forklift up where you sell your mount and buy a new mount. And
right.
With Losmandy, we have the RA extension kits, right? So although that's not required, you can actually literally just unbolt a couple things, take off a deck, put on if you have a GM811, you can take off the 8 series deck, buy the G11 deck, and now you have a G11 mount, right?
I know, yeah. People are starting to catch on, that's for sure. Yeah. So Scott's theory, which I think everybody out there kind of knows, or if you don't know this, he wants you to have your mount forever. And so if something is going to change on it, it's retrofittable. I think, is that the correct word? It's retrofittable to get it to that.
It's either retrofittable or upgradable.
Right.
And Sonny, who's one of our customers, always says, he came down here and Scott said to him, it's the last mount you'll ever need.
Yeah. And it's true. So if we do make changes, these new things that you're kind of saying that we're looking at and, coming out, it will be something that all Gemini 2 users or Gemini 2 owners will be able to add on. Would that be a good word?
You're getting you're getting a lot more specific than I was anticipating talking about. Will we have to edit this part out?
Maybe, if you think so. I don't know. You said we do have new stuff coming, so I kind of just said that everything is retrofittable.
Okay, well, but right. So,
or upgradable.
If you have a Losmandy mount, the chance of you being able to take advantage of things that we are going to do in the future, and then many things. We're not thinking about one specific thing, anything like that. Right?
We're always trying to grow.
Mm-hmm. It's one of our philosophies is it's going to be available to you.
Correct. Yes.
So I think that philosophy is going to continue. And of course, we're probably going to talk about any new stuff here on the podcast, right?
That's the idea. Yeah.
That's the idea. This is going to be a little bit more free form. We're going to answer questions, obviously.
So if you have any questions out there that you'd like to send to Brian, myself, Scott, whoever, just send it over. You could send it to tech support@losmandy.com. You could send it to Tanya K@losmandy.com. And Brian, any of them, and we just kind of
of our user groups.
Yeah, the user groups. So any of those things any questions that you may have out there that you'd like to have answered, send it in, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to say, so we're not announcing anything here.
No.
But if you do want to know about them and be the first to know about them,
you want
to subscribe to our newsletter.
Yep.
Right.
Which we showed you how to do earlier.
Right. We did. Well, I mean, it blew up, of course, but
it won't do that to you, I don't think, to anybody else out there.
I mean, we're connected to 16
that's the best way.
We got all kinds of technology here.
I know.
That are blowing things up. So
that really is the best way to really find out new things. So.
Yes. So, but in addition to that, right, we have our YouTube channel. So even though we focus on education and we focus on, teaching people how to use their mount, some tips and tricks on how to get the most out of their mount. We're also doing these podcasts now, which are somewhat more informal, but also we're going to talk about new product stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So the key thing there is subscribe to the Losmandy YouTube channel, because then you get notifications saying new video just dropped or whatever. So
well, you have to hit the notify bell,
you
and
do?
then you will
Okay.
be notified of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So hit that notify bell. We try to do about one instructional video a month. So it's not like you're going to be getting dinged all the time, but I definitely suggest doing that. Is that the right word?
Sure, why not? But yes, so those are coming along, and I think that's about all we have for our
first podcast. Thanks
Yeah.
for watching, everybody.
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
everybody.
it. We'll see you next time. Send in those suggestions, comments, questions.
Yeah,
we'll
there you
see
go.
next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was fun. What? I can't hear you.
I know, because I'm not saying anything.
Oh.
At the end of this thing, you're supposed to not talk. You do that. You ever do that on movie sets? Don't you know the people, like when they're doing it in a restaurant, no one's actually saying anything, even though it looks like they're talking?
They're just